Hey guys, how's it going today? I don't know what's gonna happen to Bitcoin, but I'm ready to play this breakout. Even if it goes down, I'm ready to short the market. So you better be asking yourself, what are you gonna do at this critical apex? Okay guys, we're gonna look at Bitcoin now. It's January 28th, 2:30. I'm getting super excited again, guys. Ooh, I can't contain myself. Somebody hold me. This anticipation is just too much for me, guys. I can't handle this anticipation. Ah! Okay, so what's gonna happen next right now? I'm getting super excited. Like I don't think there's ever a day in crypto where I am not excited. I'm always on the edge of my seat. I'm on the edge of glory, and I'm hanging at a critical moment with you. So it just wants to like break out, really, really break out. So, but okay, let me go over this with you guys first of all, okay? This is my logic, and I'm loving this right now, how I'm seeing it, but I also see a very bearish scenario as well, okay? So this point right here, we were very happy to break out of it, right? It was like an ascending triangle that was like forming here, right? So then finally broke out of it, and it's hovering above the 55 EMA on a 2-hour chart, which makes me really happy. And now we're actually wedging into here. That's where I left you guys off last night, right? As much as we love to use Elliott waves and other methodologies to trade, sometimes the simplest way is the best way. We think of all the strategies and everything we know about trading, and the most important thing that we have to distinguish between everything we know is what to use and what to use at a good time, right? Or sorry, what to use for which circumstance. So sometimes things are a lot better. And as much as I would love to do an Elliott wave count here for the entire substructure, it's almost going to be irrelevant to me because we keep getting these types of failed impulse waves that always move into corrections, right? We're getting very ugly 1-2, 1-2 kind of subwaves, right? Impulses. So a lot of them are failing on the first impulse. For example, if you guys you cannot consider this an impulse. Trust me, you couldn't. You cannot consider that an impulse wave right there, right? I just simply cannot consider this an impulse wave because it's way too choppy the way everything is going right now, despite it hitting 1-to-1 right now. So now what I'm waiting for is a possible break. So what I think is going to happen, okay, there's two possible things that can really happen right now. One, actually three things, okay? One, it's going to break out of this resistance that I've been drawing for about 24 hours now, right? We simply break out of the resistance right here in this critical apex zone. Sorry for zooming in on a lot. I got kind of like I can't sit still, whatever you call that, like I have fidgeting issues when it comes to the chart. So I'm always like right clicking and stuff like that when I'm trading too. So we could easily break out, and a key breakout area would most likely be about $12,100 with tons of volume and confirmation. Now, if that does not hold, and that also implies that this support resistance will also not hold. So I'm keeping an eye on 12,000, like around, more so this right here, like 12,000, like 200 about, but when it's about 12,100, it'll have my attention, okay? And I will gladly play onto a breakout and add strength into it. When I say add strength, what that means is a lot of people are buying right now, right? There's lots of people are buying. There's a lot of confirmation that there's heavy volume and there's a clean break that's going to happen. So gladly, I will buy into strength for Bitcoin as well if it reaches about 12,100. But if it doesn't, guys, because this right here acted as a previous resistance, it is now a support. So think of it the opposite for supports, right? What used to be a support, if we break it, is now a resistance, and what was a resistance now becomes a support. So what we see is if it did not break up there, then it could possibly wedge right into here, because this right here was a previous resistance that is now a support, right? So the bearish scenario, guys, is that we simply break into this ascending triangle pattern, right? Which does have a chance to break out here still, don't get me wrong. But if we now get into this kind of formation, there's no specific price point to be looking at, but there's a range, right? We want to make sure that we have a range like this. So like just along this line, I can't draw it the best, but you guys know what I mean. Along this massive trend line resistance right there. So as soon as we get confirmation of heavy volume and a successful close above it, then boom, I'm going to go over confirmation heavily in a tutorial video for you guys, because I think I've been talking about it a lot, and maybe not all of us are on the same page yet. So this is the bearish scenario, of course, and of course we have to watch out for this key zone right there as well, because it could break up or it could break down. But more so down possibly if it doesn't trend at an angle. So if it does break down, right, then of course we're going to be facing something just in this zone over here that now has another chance to either break up or down. So I'm more so being a reactive trader to Bitcoin and Ripple right now. As you guys know, I love Ripple because, okay, I'll tell you guys why I love Ripple. The reason why I love Ripple is because for every 1,000 coins that you have, and for every penny that it moves, you make $10, okay? And because my fees are finally back up to over 7.5 million, like the past week was really slow, so I didn't trade much. But yesterday, a few of my trades got me quite a bit of volume, so now I'm back up there. But the reason why I love Ripple is because one, my 0% fees, and secondly, if it moves a penny on 1,000 coins, you make $10. So if you have 10,000 coins, you make $100 for every penny moved, right? So I'm a really big fan of that. So for Ripple, I'll scalp, you know, maybe $2,000-$3,000 Ripple positions, and it moves a penny or two, and I'm making like $30 to $50 here and there, depending on how much it moves. But you guys know me as a scalper. I can profit a lot because the gains can add up over time, right? So it's like $50 here, $30 there, and then after you do it 10, 15 times, it's like, whoa, I'm like $300-$400 up right now from a few scalps. So that's why I love Ripple, and Bitcoin is Ripple's no exception to following Bitcoin, right? So what Bitcoin does, Ripple does as well. So I follow both of these a lot right now, and I plan to familiarize myself even more with Bitcoin, and I plan to trade this very heavily soon. So anyways, that's the bearish scenario where we break here and we go down. And now I love this as well, right? Or not I love, but I see this as well, right? I was talking about loving Ripple so much that I forgot about what I was saying. So now another thing that could easily happen is, of course, we break this region down there, right? And we would expect some sort of lower type of support in the lower region here, right there, somewhere along this line. Now, regardless of where it breaks, let's say the bear scenario, it broke down here or even up to there in this range, right? It could very well break right here for all we know, right? And if this does break, what we have to keep in mind is that we have a different support area right here. So this is now going to be, of course, a buy zone as well. Somewhere. I can't tilt it properly because this thing doesn't angle properly, but you guys get what I mean, right? Along this yellow line right there. That ends up becoming a buy zone, but the first thing that people will most likely want to test is to make sure that it holds. So if it does come down here, I want it to bounce once off of it at least, or get lots of volume, and maybe it's make a slight second bounce or so, and then I will most likely enter into a long position if I get tons of confirmation and believe in it. I mean, worst case scenario, I just break out even, right? But at least I'm entering myself from a very good position, and I do that a lot. I enter a position, right, because it's a very good entry point. It ticks up a tiny bit, or I break even, or I'll enter a position and I lose. It goes against me, and I lose 0.5% or 1% or 1% or 1%, and that happens like 4 times. So I've lost 4% total, right? Because it goes against me. But hey, then finally on the 5th time, I caught the bottom, and then I'm making like 9% or 10% on a run up, right? So you have to think of it like that as well, that you take these chances and you risk your money, and a lot of the times you will lose, right? As long as you have a very good risk to reward setup, and you can easily make up the money over time, because as a trader, we try to focus on being profitable over time. So this is pretty much where I stand with Bitcoin right now. I am going to be a very reactive trader. I'm watching it for it to break here. I'm watching to see if it's gonna fall down to this descending triangle right here in this zone. And then if it does break up out of there, great. I'll be 100% ready to buy into strength there. Right now, as much as I would like to assume that DAO theory starts to apply a lot in terms of like accumulation phase, like public participation phase, excess phase, etc., I don't believe that people are really accumulating much right now. I more so believe people like day traders, especially, right? Day traders, investors, you guys do your thing. I don't invest. I couldn't even talk about that. But for a day trader, I really doubt that people are starting to accumulate small positions right now, anticipating a breakout. I think the majority of people are most likely being reactive like me, and it shows on the volume as well. That's actually fairly low for the day. CoinMarketCap is at about $8.5 million right now, which is not bad. But the one thing I want to emphasize heavily right now is that this is looking like a really healthy daily candle, okay? We still got about 3 hours to go. The volume will most likely exceed yesterday, but the most important thing, guys, is this daily candle. Woo! We did it, guys. Woo! We did it. We got a hammer. Remember how I was talking about how we got to close above 11,750? Right? Because that was the open and we wanted a nice green little doji or hammer candle like that. Well, guys, despite the volume being pretty low right now, we do have to accept the fact and acknowledge that that is a hammer on a weekly chart, guys. And this will imply that we have bounced off of the 21 moving average that I use right there. Historically, we always bounce off of the 21 moving average. We have not bounced on it since 2015. So the moving average was an extremely strong number at 20 for us to bounce through it. So I am excited right now, and I'm super happy to be able to say that despite us not looking too bullish right now, at least the weekly candle will have a very good sign. Now, we also have to talk about the bear scenario as well, right? I talked about the bullish scenario of the weekly chart holding and looking good. But now what we need to do is we need to talk about the RSI resistances, okay? RSI does have resistance as well, guys. It really does. A neutral zone, I consider it, and according to Brown's law as well, you guys can Google him up. He's got RSI rules, a bunch of them. Anywhere between 35 to 65, I consider that a neutral zone, right? Anywhere from the really high numbers, and as long as it holds 70 or 40 and above about, that would be a very bullish zone. Now, a bearish zone would be super low RSI and between 50 to 60 like that. So according to RSI and Brown's rule right now, we're still technically, if we take this range, in a very bearish zone, right, on a 4-hour chart. But if we take it around here, this is a little bit more acceptable. So we need for it to break, okay, guys? What we've noticed is that this resistance right here, like right around this range, has held true for a very long time, since January 17 on a 4-hour chart, which is long in crypto space. So until we break some very relevant and key areas for RSI, like this is the recent peak, we take the average of them, I'm not really interested in going into a long position yet, okay? So I'm going to pull up my bitfinex here because we also like to take a look at the moving averages, right? So we look on a 3-hour chart right there, RSI is not even breaking above the previous resistance as well on the 17th. So these RSI resistances are key as well. The moment that we see it break above a resistance, we can automatically assume that there's a lot more strength in the market right now based on the RSI. So the 2-hour chart, we have not actually officially broken out as well. So I'm a little bit bearish and bullish at the same time. 1-hour chart, pretty expected to reach some nice RSI. 30-minute chart, we got to reach some really high RSI to consider an uptrend. Do you guys know what high RSI is? Let me tell you. Let me show you guys what really high RSI is like, okay? On a 1-hour chart. Okay, this is what high RSI is on a 1-hour chart right there. That's ridiculous, right? Like we're talking about crazy numbers, like 80s on an uptrend, right? Look at over here as well. Look at that. Wow. Isn't that beautiful? Where the 1-hour chart, when it reached like 11,000 there, we completely flew by 10K, if you guys remember, right? Like people took profit around that range there, like around almost 11K. We corrected to 10K, like $1,000 correction. Then boom, next day 11,500. Those were some really good Bitcoin days. Now let's go over the moving averages as well. Okay, moving average on the 1-hour chart. It shows that we are on an uptrend, but we can't consider ourselves on a massive uptrend until the volume picks up and we actually break above key resistance areas. 3-hour chart as well, sure, it looks like it's fanning out, right? It bounced off of the 13 moving average, actually not even the 13, it was very bullish. It bounced off of the, like right between the 8 and my 13 moving average there. I don't use 100, guys, because I'm a trader, but what a lot of people use the 100 for, let me show you, okay? Let me show you what people use the 100 for. If this was changed to 100 right here, these are more so for longer term traders, right? So what they'll use the 100 for, actually even 200, okay? The 200, what a lot of people will call it, is like a T-line, right? A T-line. And what the T-line does is like think of it just the letter T, right? Where it's holding it as a support. And it just goes sideways across entirely. So anyways, let's change this moving average back to 55 because I don't like those big numbers. So sure, we're below the 55 moving average on a daily chart right now, but that's 55, guys. That's a very bullish number to consider and moving average to retain. What's more important is, let's say the 100 moving average where we hovered slightly below it. And today, guys, today we're going to close above the 100 moving average again, which is a beautiful sign. Sure, on a 50 moving average, on a 50 moving average, we're considered in a downtrend, but the 100 exponential moving average holds it very dearly right now up. So all that I'm waiting for, right, if we get a crossover right here where the yellow line stays above entirely and we move up, for example, above even the 13 moving average, we should be in very good shape, guys, on a 6-hour chart, right? 6-hour chart, we're very close to it as well. So I'm trying to offer both bear and bull views right now. So it's still slightly bearish because it's still slightly bearish and slightly bullish. We're getting a lot of mixed signals right now, right? And I'm trying to debate all the different perspectives for you guys, talking about why it looks bullish and why it looks bearish. So these signals are incredibly mixed right now, such as the RSI. We can't break above it, right? Those are some key things that's indicating still a short-term bearish trend. We need to break out of the key areas in RSI for us to consider that we've broken out of it. And you know, that's just one small signal on the bearish side, right? And for example, on the 6-hour chart on the bearish side as well, we're getting a rejection candle right here. And also the volume on 6 hours, look at the volume there, it's slowly dying off. So these are some of the bearish ones as well. And the bullish scenarios that, yeah, we're crossing over some very nice moving averages. So we're crossing over some nice moving averages. The weekly chart as well is looking great, right? On the 55 moving average, I meant to say, I had it 100 earlier, my mistake. We're starting to slightly hover above the 55 moving average there. So there's a potential for a crossover very soon. And on the 55 moving average, on the 3-hour chart, looking great as well here. So anyways, these are my thoughts on Bitcoin. You guys know where I stand on it, where the critical apex points are. Please be a reactive trader. I try to preach being reactive and not too predictive, okay? Like, just because we say it might get to 8K doesn't mean we sit there and wait for it to get to 8K, because it might never, right? So we have to be sure that we can be available when breakouts happen. We have to look at key indicators as it gets closer and closer to critical apex points. Anyways, these are my quick thoughts on Bitcoin. I hope that it has helped you. Other than that, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the content on YouTube and on Twitter, and upvote on steemit. Take it easy, guys, and see you guys later down the road. I'm actually going to head out for a little bit, so I'll be back like in maybe 5-6 hours or so. Bye, guys.